we're back.
We're back.
Chad, thank you so much again for having us today with
Yeah.
the tour. I mean, your studio is absolutely incredible. Now I want to talk about how you helped me. I had a major surgery. Chad gave me some great advice, some essential oils that helped my body release the trauma that was holding from my surgery.
Yeah.
And you have some other tools that you're using now.
Yes.
Can you tell us about those?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm so honored anytime I'm invited into the healing process of anyone. So I see it as a gift for me as well as my opportunity to hopefully bring a gift to you. So thank you for
You're
letting
our
me
gift just
be a
by being
voice.
here.
So I like to work with different tools as we were talking about. So sometimes it's oil, sometimes it's the trace mineral formula. So right now I'm working with another product which is kind of acupuncture, self-acupuncture. Now my clients don't need to be acupuncturists, though I have a background in training in acupuncture. I'm a practicing acupuncturist,
So you're
but I
talking
understand
about
it.
the needles and the poking.
Exactly, yes. And
Does it hurt?
No. And I myself was needle phobic. So even though I understood the principles of acupuncture as a little child, I was terrified of needles. So it took me a very long time to embrace acupuncture and self-care, exclusively because of the needles.
Okay.
I was great with the principles, but the needles never my favorite part.
So do the patches have a needle?
The patches don't have a needle. No, the patches actually, we call them patches, but they actually reflect your body's light. We talked about light and how the body emits light. The patches have themselves like a blueprint inside that's a crystal structure of different compounds that serve like a blueprint. And your body's light will activate the blueprint when this is applied to a location on the body.
It sounds very woo-woo.
It's super interesting. Yeah.
But the body is interesting and the body is amazing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, God created us like this, so now what do we do?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. And so much of the time it is kind of an unveiling of what we didn't know before, more than it is about, it's not really new, it's new to us. So it's new understanding to us. Our bodies have always been miraculous. And sometimes as we develop technologies to help us understand it, we act like the technology has brought something new. It didn't. It was already there before. The fact that our bodies emit light through meridian highways in the body has always been that way.
Yeah.
We're just catching up to the miracle of trying to understand what this thing is that we walk around in every day.
Reveal it, reveal it.
Reveal it for sure. So there's different, so for example, these are photobiomodulation patches, so light, bio, body, modulation patches. So we apply the different patches to different acupuncture points.
Where do they go?
So I'm going to put these two, I'm going to gift you these two. So one is designed for the nervous system and for inflammation.
Okay.
So most people know that having a good balance of the right kind of inflammation, not too much inflammation, not chronic or too acute inflammation is a good thing for us. So that's one patch is designed for that.
Okay.
So the information that's contained within this little crystalline structure is going to help the body to focus its attention on the management of inflammation and the nervous system. So we're talking like stress response versus non-stress response.
And how long do you keep them on?
12 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, you get to wear it for 12 hours. About that time, the crystal structure on the inside has pretty much dissolved, so it's not really giving out nearly as much information after 12 hours as it did in the beginning. You can take it off, discard it, and you wait another 12 hours, and you put it on again. So
The same patch or a new patch?
a new patch.
Okay.
Yeah, a new patch, yeah, because the crystal structure has been
So
sort of
what's the first one and where does it go?
Okay, so the first one is going to be the one that we're doing for inflammation
Okay.
and the nervous system.
I do have some inflammation. I'm 6'1" and these joints are not what they used to be.
We all have inflammation. That's the important thing. Sometimes things get thrown under the bus. Inflammation's not a bad thing in the body. It's only when the management of it gets a little compromised based on too many things potentially going on at the same time, the body's resources being used for other reasons, and or the insult is kind of there all the time. So
Let's do it. Where does it go?
So I already have my on my neck right here, so I'm going to place this on for you.
Okay.
Yep. So there's a meridian line that runs the length of the back of the body, and I'm going down to, I'm looking for, there's a bone at the very bottom of the cervical spine, and it's the lowest of the cervical vertebra, it's called the C7, and I'm going to place that right on top. Yeah.
I don't
And it
feel
just
it.
hangs out there.
It's cool.
Yeah, no pokes, no sticking, nothing.
Pain-free.
It's pain-free. Yeah.
So in 12 hours, I take it off, and then do I take a break, you said?
For 12 hours.
Another 12-hour break, and then if I'm still feeling
Yeah.
the inflammation, I put a new one on?
Correct, yeah. So these patches are meant to be worn. The concept behind them is self-care on a daily basis.
Okay.
So some of the patches are really about what I would call systemic care, the care of my system. Some of them are symptom care. So if you had acute pain, I wouldn't be using this patch. I would be using a patch that's designed to attend to the acute state that's going on. So I would use one that's designed for that purpose.
Well, I do have a liver issue happening. I do have a fatty liver from doing keto diet too long, and my liver is mad at me. So now what?
Yeah, so it's working on some regeneration.
Okay.
Yeah. So this patch is called the X39.
Can we do a close-up of
Yes,
that?
of course. Yeah, can you see
It
that?
just looked like a clear sticker, really.
Yeah, when I take the backing off, what you're left with is just a single, looks like a little white dot in the middle of a clear sticker. And this is actually this technology has been around for 20 years, more than 20 years. But when this particular patch was launched into the marketplace for people to use about 3 years ago, the results that people were getting from this particular one patch really launched what was formerly definitely like a woo-woo kind of fringe, unheard of company and technology.
Cutting through like new boundaries, blown and going to new horizons.
Yes, and the reason for that is because this patch is designed to influence the peptide in the body that is responsible for telling a stem cell. You know
What's a
about stem
peptide?
cells. Yeah, okay.
Tell people what a peptide
Right.
is.
Here we get into all the language. Okay, so let's start with stem cells. Most people know stem cells. So stem cells are cells that can become any cell that the body needs.
They can regenerate other tissue, right?
Absolutely, yes. So they are part of our regeneration network. Yep. So now, in order for that, before a stem cell can become an eye cell, a liver cell, any cell in the body, it needs like a key, an activation process, and we call that, for simplification, we'll call that a peptide. So there's a peptide that tells the cell, hey, you can go from stem cell to this kind of cell. So we call it differentiation. So it goes from just being a stem cell to differentiate into a liver cell, for example. In order for that to happen, we need this peptide to be active. And what has been observed, again, what science has sort of learned over time how to observe, is that as we live life, depending upon our lifestyle, our genetics, all the things that factor in, we begin to make less and less and less of that peptide as we age. So for most people, by the time they're approximately 60 years old, they're making very little of this peptide. So they have stem cells, but there's no differentiation because without the peptide, the stem cell doesn't become a kidney cell, an eye cell, a skin cell.
So you can live forever with the patch.
So this is the new idea. This is the new idea
The
that
longevity patch as well, right?
Yeah. So this is really what's happening in this world. And this one goes, I'll let you put this one on for yourself. So you go, again, sort of a midline. There's different places we could put it, but because we put one here, we're going to put the other one on the front of the body, about 2 finger widths or 3 finger widths below your navel.
Okay.
So we call that the conception, it's called the conception vessel in acupuncture. So you can place this one about 2 to 3 finger widths under your navel.
Okay, so here's my belly button and 2 fingers.
Yep.
And then right there?
Yep, and you're going to put it right on top. Right there. Yep.
Got it.
And it just goes right onto
Here it
the
is.
skin. Yep.
I don't even feel it. I usually get sensitive to sticky things, but I'm not having any itching or issue right now with these, so
Good.
it seems very tolerable for people with sensitive skin.
Absolutely. I believe there are 80 studies and maybe 100 patents on these patches.
That's a lot.
One of which is the hyperallergenic quality of the patch itself. So it's designed to be sensitivity free.
Awesome.
Some people will still have a sensitivity to it, in which case then you would just not wear them.
Okay.
Unfortunately. Or you could, there's other ways around it, but so if you find that is true for you, then you want to honor that, of course.
Right.
Yeah. So So we always honor the body above all else. I do.
Gotta
Anyway.
listen
That's what I
to what
encourage.
is going on in here.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the body,
Yeah.
you have a body of people that you reach out to the entire world with.
Yeah.
Besides this program, tell us about this quickly.
Okay, this is the Right Under Your Nose program. So I am a trainer with the Heart Math Institute, and the Heart Math Institute has really been the pioneer in understanding the heart, our heart, as a source of informational exchange, both outward and inward. So they do an enormous amount of scientific study in helping us to understand, once again, what's always been happening. This is not new in terms of the experience of being alive, but it's new in terms of our understanding of what is happening as a living, breathing being, and how we communicate mostly through our heart.
Yeah.
And our hearts will receive information first. That information is then sent to the brain through a very specific network in the brain. The brain then receives that information, recognizes it or doesn't recognize it, and then chooses to tell the rest of the body how it feels about that particular person, space, place,
Well,
etc.
I believe that, and I have experienced that with some family members who have had heart surgeries, and they become very emotional post-surgery. They're definitely changed once they're, going in there and messing around with the tissues. So I do believe that.
Yeah, and beyond the heart as an organ, this is really about how the heart functions as a magnetic field. It has its own magnetic field. It also has its own nervous system. So, and again, the Heart Math Institute has been very instrumental in our understanding of it. So I'm certified to teach people personal resilience, which is their program for an individual person. And then I am also certified to teach what's called activating the heart of teams. So I work with organizations, families can be teams, work environments can be teams, to help them develop an awareness of how their hearts are communicating all the time with one another, whether, regardless of whether it's coming out of their lips or not coming out of their lips, their heart is the receiver of that information. We all know. You can sit across from somebody and tell if what they're saying to you is what you're feeling.
Right. If
Maybe
it's genuine or if there's something else going on, right?
Yeah, and the words that are now used to describe that is called coherence. So is it coherent? Are we being coherent with the information that our hearts, because the heart is not going, very likely, it's not going to be the source of incoherence, but it's going to be that we will be incoherent with it. Our brain will be telling us something different than what our heart is communicating, and vice versa. And that state of incoherence is also a really significant source of stress. So if we're living our lives or acting in a manner that's incoherent with the messages from our heart, the desire of our heart, then we will, we have to unfortunately or live the experience of what incoherence feels like, which is oftentimes not something that feels like vitality and joy and health.
Well, I know you're spreading the joy around the world. I want to get back to that because on Saturday mornings, you have a worldwide meditation that you offer. And let's talk about that.
Yes, thank you.
It's amazing.
Thank you. So it's called Joyful of Heart Worldwide. And Joyful of Heart was the name given to me that I assumed when I joined the Sangha of Thich Nhat Hanh, who was my first teacher in the world of meditation.
Okay.
Myself, along with tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, learned an enormous amount about meditation and mindfulness through the work of Thich Nhat Hanh. And in my 20s, I wanted to join more deeply that work. So I requested a name, and the name I was given was Joyful of Heart. And it was a very private thing for the longest time. I had an email address, but pretty much no one else knew about that. And a year and a half ago, I was already teaching a meditation community online during the pandemic. It really moved exclusively to online on Zoom. And I realized I'd been sensing that my Dharma name was going to be coming forward more, and I'd already expressed it to someone saying, I don't know why this is coming up, but I feel like it's coming up. I feel like I'm supposed to be using my name. So now my community is called the Joyful of Heart Worldwide Community.
And how far worldwide does it go?
It's worldwide. It's everywhere. Yeah, it's
Australia, Africa, all over the place.
Yeah. We gather every Saturday, and we usually have somewhere between 12 and 20 countries.
And that's on a Zoom
It's
call,
on a Zoom,
right?
Yep.
Okay, Zoom call.
It's live on Zoom.
And can they find you on Facebook?
Facebook, WhatsApp, Telegram, Instagram. Yep. So we're kind of all over under the name Joyful of Heart Worldwide.
And what is the typical meditation like? How long is it? What's involved? Do you see other people in the meditation?
So the program starts at 8 the Pacific time, so here in Los Angeles time, About 8:45 in the morning, we do 15 minutes of movement, dancing, freestyle, whatever moves
That sounds
you.
fun.
I love. That's my favorite part.
Yeah.
It always really helps me get out of my head, and that's why. So I do it every week. I really enjoy the dance party part.
Yeah.
And then we do an intro and a welcome, and I kind of familiarize everyone with what's the flow of that particular program going to be. There's usually an inspirational video and maybe a short meditation. Then we will oftentimes embrace other tools that I work with, like now tone therapy, and we'll use tones or some other way of finding our way to the present moment as a community. So now we begin to stop existing in our 13 different countries and we start coexisting in one space and moment together.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then there's usually what we call the Saturday conversation. Sometimes I have guests who are themselves thought leaders, innovators, presenters, people that I resonate with their message or I'm curious about their message and I want to get more deeply into it.
So that's like an intimate TED Talk kind of situation.
Yeah, I love that. An intimate TED Talk.
Yeah.
I think I'm
Go ahead.
And really what Joyful of Heart, not unlike the Chad Allen method, it is about remaining open to the many different ways that we can intersect with knowledge and intersect with joy. And it's not about one particular approach. In the process, I have then found my way toward a guided meditation that I offer, that I just have titled Being Coherent.
And that's a private meditation that you teach?
That's what we do every Saturday. So I guide it on Saturday. And it's free of any particular point of view. So there are elements that one can think of as Zen, or elements that could be. There's no charge.
So it's free and it's freedom.
It's
freedom
free.
based.
Yeah, and it's freedom based.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that every single week for over 3 years. And
wow.
Yeah.
Good for you. I've been to many of them. They're just, each time I go, it just makes my day. And my friends that are in it makes their day too. Also, if someone wants to come here to the studio on Sawtelle in West Los Angeles, well, how much do you cost? Is it per hour, per session? How does it work?
Yeah, it's really based on time that we spend together. In the beginning, I request that we start at least with a 55-minute session. That's 150 for that session time. We can build up, we can build down, depending on the program and the goals that we come up with together.
So whatever you decide will work for that session, you can do, like feedback,
Correct.
the gyrotonics, the amazing plates.
The power plates, yeah. The dancing, yeah.
Dancing.
It really depends. It's really.
Will I get to
we're
float
free.
on the bubble?
Absolutely,
the waffle?
yeah. If that's what we decide is the right thing for you, absolutely.
It looks fun.
Yeah, it
I
is
need to
really
try
cool.
it again.
And before the pandemic and before everything changed a few years ago, I also offered a lot of group classes, and I'm building those back up again. So we are now starting power play classes, which is just 2. I mean, we call it a class. It's really semi-private. It's a duo.
So you and a friend could come.
Yeah.
Or your spouse, or your significant other.
Yep.
Can I bring my cat?
Yes. in a container, yes. In their favorite
Do you allow
away from
people
home.
to bring their doggies to hang out?
If they're service dogs, yeah.
I know you love dogs.
Yes, I'm a dog lover, and my dog is not here as much as I wish he were, but he does come from time to
Oh,
time.
he does come
Link
to
comes,
visit.
yeah.
Link. Oh, he's a
Yeah.
big, beautiful black lab
Yeah.
who has my heart.
And the thing is that every time now people get used to him being here,
Yeah.
and they get unhappy when he's
They
not
get
here.
sad because he's
yeah.
a part of the energy and he's a part of your life. So he's awesome, and
He
you're
is
awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us here.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, Chad, you really have changed my life for the better. I really want you to know that. And for you guys out there, if you want to reach out to Chad Allen, he is available. I'm going to put the link to all of his contact info on this channel in the link below. And if you want to see more of our Heather Stringhouse adventures, like and subscribe. And we're sending love
Yes.
and light to everybody out there.
Thank you.